Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of my podcast Explore and Engage with Anam. At any given point in time, there's a lot going on in the world, and I think I've said that before. And before I sit down to record a podcast episode, I have to come up with a list of topics that I want to discuss. And as I observe my surroundings, as I pay attention to what's going on in my city, my state, my country, and what's happening all over the world, I realize that there are things that will make us smile, things that will make us happy. And at the same time, there are things that are happening in this world that will probably make us sad. And that's life, because life gives us many reasons to smile and many reasons to be sad. And it's always a mixture. It's not 100% happiness. It's not 100% sadness. It's a mixture, and that's life. That's the nature of the world that we live in. And so, as I look at the different topics, I try to gather a few for each episode, and sometimes a lot of the things I discuss are problems that I'm seeing taking place in this world. And then at other times, I like to talk about things that are uplifting, that will make us smile, that will make us happy. And so, that's what I do. And my podcast, for somebody who has been paying attention, who has listened to my podcast episodes in the past, if you're someone like that who has been listening to my podcast, then you'll know that I not only talk about social and political issues, but I like to really express my thoughts. I like to express my opinions. I'm not just reporting what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, what's happening, but I also like to share my own opinions. And then I like to hear from my listeners what they have to say. And as I've said before, in my podcast, I'm the only person talking. But I always welcome comments and messages from my listeners. And you can do that by going to tawsifanam.net. That's my website, tawsifanam.net. And by visiting my website, you can send me messages, and you can also check out my social media accounts. You can connect with me on social media. And in addition to whatever I'm saying in my podcast, if you go to my website, you'll also find my blog posts, and you'll find links to my published opinions. So not only do I talk, not only do I record my words and publish them in the form of podcast episodes, but I also do a lot of writing, and I write about social and political issues. I write about philosophical topics. I write about sometimes just my personal thoughts about different things happening in the world. I talk a lot about creative writing and literature. So please connect with me by going to tawsifanam.net. Now, having said that, let's come back to this podcast episode. As I've said before, I like to make a list of topics for each episode, and sometimes those topics are happy topics, and sometimes those are topics that will make people sad. But that's life, and so I want to thank you for listening to my podcast. Please stay connected with me. Did you know that there's a wildfire in Canada, in Alberta? It's pretty serious, and I was reading some news on that, and it seems that, according to the report that I saw, nearly 30,000 people have been asked to evacuate. And that tells you how big this wildfire is. It's a serious situation. If 30,000 people have been asked to evacuate, it is a major wildfire, and it's just heartbreaking to know that people are going through so much pain. I mean, I think about all those people who have been asked to evacuate. And where are they going to go? They are going to have to leave their homes behind and face this tremendous uncertainty and evacuate, not knowing when they'll be able to come back and what's going to happen to their homes, to their property. It's just such a painful situation to be in. There are no words to describe that. And what's happening on the other side of the world in Bangladesh is that people are really worried about the possibility of a cyclone. A cyclone, it's called Mocha, Cyclone Mocha. It's likely to affect the people of Bangladesh. And those living in the coastal areas, they are worried. They are worried. And I've seen different news reports. There's a lot of fear because cyclones cause a lot of damage. And Bangladesh has a history of cyclones. There have been many cyclones over the last several decades, and it's just a scary situation to be in. And I guess all that we can do is to pray. In terms of emergency services, in terms of making sure that people are away from the coastal areas and in a safe place. I don't know how much of that is being done. Obviously, in the news, different channels are reporting how serious this cyclone is going to be. But then, once again, as I said in the case of Canada, where 30,000 people have been asked to evacuate, think about the coastal areas of Bangladesh. If people are being asked to leave, or if it is being recommended that people move away from the coastal areas and go someplace else for the duration of the cyclone, the question is, where are people going to go? Where are people going to go? It's such a difficult thing to leave one's home and belongings and property, everything behind, and go find a safe place during a cyclone. But then when they come back, I mean, what condition will their property be in? Will their homes be flooded? Will their homes be damaged because of the cyclone? Will their belongings be lost? I mean, this is why I said the uncertainty. The uncertainty is painful. It is painful. And in Canada, people are facing severe uncertainty because of wildfire. And in Bangladesh, because of this news of, the possibility of a cyclone, people there are facing uncertainty. So what's going to happen? I don't know. The thing is, people cannot change the course of nature. Everything from cyclone to earthquake to floods to different things that happen, snowstorms. We have a lot of snowstorms here in Wisconsin, and I live in Wisconsin. This is home. And so these are all different things that happen in nature, and human beings cannot change the course of nature. We just have to deal with whatever is heading in our direction. And really there's nothing we can do. But I believe in the power of prayers. So I believe that people should pray. We all have to pray. We all have to pray for the health and safety of all people. Here in the United States, in addition to the various natural disasters like flood and hurricanes and even wildfires that have happened over the years, there's another problem that we are facing right now, and that's the border crisis. And I've talked so much about it in previous episodes, but I need to talk about it again because it's a problem that's going on and on and on. And I don't know when this crisis will end. And in the last 2.5 years, since this current administration came to power, this situation has become really, really severe. Millions of foreign nationals have reportedly entered the United States through the southern border by violating our nation's laws. And this is going on. And, you can probably do an internet search and find all the latest updates on this issue. But what I really want to say, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, that we need to secure the border. We need to stop the flow of illegal immigrants. We need to make sure that our border is secure, and anybody who wants to enter the United States must do so legally by following all the laws and rules of the United States. And so we need to secure the border, but right now there's a severe crisis at the southern border, and it's just, it is also a humanitarian crisis. It also is a humanitarian crisis. And if Title 42 is lifted, then it is likely going to lead to a surge of illegal immigrants. And this is something that's being discussed right now. And so I will be providing more updates, and I'll be sharing my thoughts and views on this in future episodes. And I just saw in the news, actually, that as many as 13,000 migrants a day could cross the U.S.-Mexico border to enter the United States when Title 42 ends. That is a huge number, 13,000 migrants a day. And so that's an ongoing crisis, and I'll be talking more about that, as I said, in future episodes. Okay, my friends, let's now talk about children's test scores in the United States. I was reading a news article that reported that test scores have declined. Test scores in civics and history declined for students all over the country, across the country, following the pandemic. And this report also stated that almost 1/3 of 8th grade students in America cannot describe the function of government. I actually wrote a blog post as soon as I saw this update. I wrote a blog post, and the title of that is Teach History to Children. Once again, the title is Teach History to Children. And that's on tawsifanam.net. You can go check out my blog, and let me know if you read my blog post and share with me your comments. And I'm just going to read one small piece of that blog post. I wrote, "There's a reason why we study history. The events of the past allow us to gain an understanding of the world and the society that we live in. And so history is an important subject. Children must study history. Children must learn what happened in the past so that they can have a clear understanding of the world that we live in, and that will allow them to be productive citizens when they grow up." And so focus on history, focus on civics, obviously. And I think that there's a lot of room for improvement, obviously, because the test scores are not great. And I really hope that parents and teachers, parents are important, parents play the most important role in children's lives. So parents must pay attention. They must make sure that their children are getting good education. And in school, teachers will have to do the best that they can to make sure that children are paying attention to their lessons, and that they're serious about their studies. I was thinking that if somebody asked me what are the 2 best subjects for double major in college, what would be my answer? I think my answer would be mathematics and literature. I think these are the 2 most important subjects in college. And people may disagree with me, and it's okay to disagree, and So I'm going to ask you, my listeners, this question. If somebody came and asked you, what are the 2 best subjects for a double major in college? What would your answer be? So share with me your thoughts. And, that's all I have for this episode. I don't have a whole lot to discuss today. I do realize that because of everything that's happening in the world, there are conflicts in different parts of the world, and there are natural disasters. And so, there are a lot of people out there who are very stressed. And so my recommendation would be to find something to do that you enjoy. It could be cooking, it could be gardening, it could be reading and writing, it could be playing some kind of sports, it could be watching movies, whatever you like to do. Just find some time and do something that you enjoy. Go for a walk, sit by a lake, go fishing. Anything that brings you joy, brings you peace, try doing that. I like cooking. I have a small balcony garden, so I love flowers and plants. And obviously, I write and I speak. I like podcasting, and I also read. Right now, I'm reading Gulliver's Travels, such an amazing book, and I am truly enjoying reading it. And I think Jonathan Swift, he is such an excellent author. Thank you for continuing to listen to my podcast. I hope to be back again with a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.